Today we will look at a private collection that is centered around arguably the most prestigious Rolex model, the Day-Date. And we will do so in the costliest property the Dutch capital has to offer. I'm not talking about the Royal Palace in the back, but rather the penthouse right across, Dam 3, Amsterdam's most prestigious property. The property is pretty different to my 5th floor flat. However, this one is over 300 square meters with a price tag that exceeds 10 million euro. Quite the setting, but we also have quite the collection. Unfortunately, the gentleman collector that owns these watches wishes to remain anonymous, so you will have to listen to me solely instead. I'm sorry for that, but I know a thing or two about these watches as I was the one who sold it to him. Join me. We will look at his collection in chronological order, but before we do so, we take a look at my wrist. The wrist check reveals a Rolex Day-Date 6511, which happens to be the very first Day-Date ever produced. Now this is a rather rare model, mainly due to the fact of the deficiencies in caliber 1055. It didn't build up enough power reserve for over midnight to turn the day and the date disc, therefore only produced for a number of years in the early 50s. This watch is rather rare. It's in yellow gold, comes on the original Jubilee bracelet in yellow gold. The date wheel is full red, the brevet crown is still there, but the dial is in rather mediocre condition due to the tarnishing of the lacquer by radium on both the dial as well as in the leaf hands. On to the first watch of his collection, still dating back to the 50s. Whoppa! But a slightly upgraded version of the previous watch we just saw. This is a 6611B. Compared to the 6511B, this one has a bigger slope at the pipe end dial and therefore giving even more depth to the dial. The bezel still is more finely milled. You can call it a coin edge bezel rather than the fluted bezel we saw on later references. It's very exceptionally rare to have this watch in white gold. Some were produced in yellow gold, some were produced in pink gold, but only very few ever saw light in white. This dial is very interesting as the lume plots are rather underneath the hour markers, and of course we find the same material inside the leaf hands. The watch still comes in a very crisp condition with its original president bracelet dating back to the same year. From the dining area, we go to the living room. And just like the collector itself, this watch comes from Italy. However, the disc is in English. The watch we're talking about is another 6611B, however, quite different I have to say. This one executed in yellow gold, making it a lesser rare execution. However, most notable, the bracelet, which is not only very long, but is unique to the watch. Possibly this watch belonged to an Italian Epicurean. You know, they love food and probably he had a lot of pasta in order to fit this watch. However, the bracelet is so finely produced, it's very unlike Rolex and it's very, very stylish. The dial itself is a glossy gilt dial made by a galvanic procedure, something we see only up until mid-60s, but this watch still dating to the 50s, 1959 to be precise, which still has the very white markers at the full dial and leaf hands again. Over to the 70s, the funky era, the disco era, and I'm happy to show you this next piece, which happens to be a very, very colorful one that is hidden behind this pillow. We are talking about this 1804. The 4 stands for the use of diamonds in both the bezel as well as on the dial. As you can see, this watch is made in a white material, but it's white gold, which is actually rarer than platinum on an 1804, which can also be seen due to the fact of the use of smaller diamonds compared to the platinum version. Furthermore, this dial is extraordinary. One might call it the lobster. It has a very, very bright red color and it's obviously a stella dial. Stella is the supplier of the lacquer for Rolex dials with very bright colors, and this being a very rare example dating back to 1974. Something funny to notice is the real dial, which means the superlative chronometer officially certified is lined out in a way it creates a small reel at the 6 o'clock position. A very, very stunning example that will definitely not go unnoticed. I love this view, emphasized by the high ceilings. But I also love this watch. We are talking about another Stella dial, however, this one with a slightly more common color. It is called the Oxblood, also known as the Burgundy Stella dial. This watch was conceived in the 70s, but most notable is its reference 1806. This is the only reference that has the finish on both the bezel as well as the case, and furthermore, the brick bracelet with the same finish. This is called the Florentine finish. It is very extravagant, but was discontinued in 1978, making it quite a rare specimen in combination with the pipe pen Stella dial. Sabato. Feeling sleepy yet? Let's go to the master bedroom. That looks comfortable. The next watch we'll be talking about is this very, very extravagant 1803. Now the reference itself, 1803, is not that rare. Actually, it's the most common watch with the fluted bezel. However, this watch is executed in pink gold. Pink gold is a rare material for Rolex. Now we know it of the Ever Rose, which they introduced in the end of the 90s. But from 1978 until the end of the 90s, they discontinued the use of pink gold as a whole. This watch is mid-70s and comes with a slate gray dial that is set with diamonds. The combination of diamonds on a day-date, it's not that special. However, this is a special request featuring only baguette set diamonds instead of just the 6 and the 9 in baguettes and the rest in brilliant cut. Quite an exceptional watch with an uncommon bracelet, which is the riveted oyster matching pink gold. After that performance, it's time to get out of the closet. Or better yet, walk into the closet, as we're going to discuss the last 4-digit reference of this collection. We are talking about a Rolex 1807. The 1807 is known for its bark finish that we can find on both the center link of the President bracelet as well as its bezel. The watch is slightly oxidized, as you can see on the 18-karat yellow gold case, due to the tropical conditions it was found in. This watch was a special order by the Sultanate of Oman. Therefore, we see the Kandjar crest at the 6 o'clock position. Furthermore, the dial features markers with black lacquer that we can also find inside the hands. I want to point out the Indic Arabic date disc and day disc that we can find too, and the beautiful Arabic minute track. On to his first 5-digit reference of the collection in 18026. The 5-digit reference numbers don't have a pipe pen dial anymore, but instead a flat dial, a quick set date function, and the introduction of sapphire crystal after 1978. The crystal is not the only thing that's made out of sapphires. Look at the hour markers. Both brilliant cut sapphires, as well as on the 6 and the 9, a baguette shaped sapphire, perfectly balancing the dial out with the date function at the 3 o'clock position. But wait, there's more. It's super shiny, it's super blingy. We are talking about a full pave diamond set dial. Same goes for the bezel, which is also encrusted with diamonds. The watch is executed in platinum, therefore reference 1806. Same goes for the bracelet, so it's quite a heavy watch. Ice, ice, baby. Ice cold. But wait, there actually is more diamonds. Turn on the bling. The 18346 has a double quickset function on the movement. But who gives anything about the movement when you have a dial like this? Again, fully encrusted with diamonds, factory set, paved dial, this time circular. Gives a little bit the impression of a disco ball. It's hard to read the time, but they installed closed handset to make it slightly more legible. The text Day-Date as well as Rolex, just like the 18026, are on applied plaques on the dial. The bezel is diamond set, the watch again is platinum, it's ice cold, it's heavy, it's beautiful, it's a Day-Date. Off to the next watch, which is another barked finish Rolex Day-Date. This time we're talking about reference 18079, so a 5-digit reference bark finish watch. Rolex stopped all the extravagant finishes after 1978. So both the Morales finish, the Florentine finish, you name it, they only kept the domed bezel, the fluted bezel and the bark finish. The bark finish has this finish both on the center link of the bracelet, the President one, as well on the bezel. The ones in white gold are way rarer. Combine it with a stella dial for a white gold example and you hit the jackpot. Stella dials for white gold watches are uncommon. You might say, well, put a yellow gold stella dial on a white gold one, but that's impossible because the text on the white gold stellas are in white. The coronet as well as the handset and the markers in fact are in white gold too. The watch is featured with a oxblood stella dial. Markers are set with diamonds and the condition of this watch is just incredible. Last but not least, we have this beautiful white gold 18239. Most important about this watch is the dial. It is a stone dial, also known as Jasper, which happens to be my name. When there's tiny red dots around it, it's called a bloodstone, but this is a beautiful full green example of a stone dial with white gold day and date frames around the day and date aperture. Excellent watch, very rare, and I read in Pucci Papaleo's Day-Date book that this watch is believed to be a unique piece. However, in the meantime, we found two more. Not really unique, but super special nonetheless. Pretty interesting collection, right? He has even more, but we stick to these 10 Day-Dates based on different materials, bezels, bracelets, dials, finishes, you name it, just to show you the diversity this model has to offer. And if you weren't blown away by these 10 Day-Dates, you probably were by this presidential property. I would like to hear what Day-Date you like the most. Ice, ice, baby. Nog een keertje. Ice, ice, baby. Ik wil na elke teken een applausje.